Motion lotion.
Hello, YouTube. This is Witeout again from Team Shadowburst. This time I'm bringing you a deck profile and a deck that I built it about a year ago for the first time, and I was happy with it, but I took it apart because more stuff was coming out and it wasn't performing as well. But with the new Photon Shockwave that has come out, it's actually gotten a new boost of life, and I didn't run it in my locals today because the card wasn't sanctioned yet because the pack wasn't actually out. But I figured I'd show it to you, and that way you guys can let me know what you think. And I'll probably be testing it out within the next few weeks as is to see how it goes. But if you can't tell by the picture, it's Elemental Hero Neos, which is actually my favorite card, and that's the whole reason I built the deck, and it revolves just around him. So without further ado, here we go. First things first, to start off, 2 Elemental Hero Neos. The whole deck is based around getting him into your hand and onto the field and keeping him there. He's the symbol of the elemental heroes, no questions about it, and he has the most fusions out of any elemental hero. He's personally my favorite card, and I would run him over anything any day. Next, staple in any elemental hero deck, Stratos. Searches out any hero monster whatsoever, it pops backfield. Great for getting Neos in your hand right out the first turn, which is usually what I need. Next, 2 Prismas. Prisma is actually great in this deck, even though I don't fuse. You'll see it in a few shots here, but it actually allows me to drop Neos to the graveyard or Necroshade for Neos, which you'll also see some of the strategies as it comes up to the back row, but he's great for thinning out the deck for what I need at certain times. We have 1 Elemental Hero Necroshade. He's a great surprise for some of my opponents, especially when I send them to the graveyard and they're not really paying attention to what I'm sending. I can send him with Prisma and get him in there, and then when I have nothing left to normal summon Neos, I can't sack for anything like that. He's great just to pop into the graveyard, and here comes Neos again. So 1 great surprise. 1 Neospatian Grand Mole. This card is actually very good against any type of sinking or Xene deck because it puts them right back in the extra deck and lets them waste all their material. So it's pretty good at shutting them down. I'm very happy with him. He's my favorite of the Neospatians. Next we have 2 Cyber Dragon. I would run 3, but 2 seems to be all I really need in this deck. It's proven very effective, especially since how it's a 21 and he's a special summon. So I like him because he's a baiter for a bottomless as well. Next we have 2 DD Warrior Ladies. Very good warrior, light, and removal, so it allows for field control. If I lose Neos, I can set her in defense mode and let them destroy it, and then it gets around Stardust, pretty much anything, just remove them both from play. So I'm very happy with that. Next is 1 Marshmallow. I run the Marshmallow just for a simple fact is, if I don't pull any of my traps or anything, I can use that to stall, plus it inflicts 1,000 on their attack. Very great staller card. I'm happy with it. Next is 1 Kaiser Seahorse, of course, for Neos. Being it's a light, sack this for Neos, and allows you to get Neos out on the field rather quickly. Next, staple in this deck, Honest. Because the deck is predominantly light, there's only 3 darks in the entire thing, including Necroshade. So Honest is a real good thing, especially to back up Neos because he's only 25. Your opponent is not expecting you to have it, they go to attack, and you just drop Honest on them, and Neos wins. Kind of like the show. 1 Sengen allows you to search out low levels, especially Honest, since how there's not a direct search for him. So it's pretty good. I keep it just because of the search. Next, 1 Gores. Gores allows me to save myself whenever I run out of backfield or I don't exactly have Neos on the field. It allows me to get him and the token, then I can put Neos back on the field next turn, which is usually what I do, and it actually works pretty effective. So that's it for the monsters. It's a 16 monster count deck, very low, but it doesn't sink or it doesn't fuse or Z summon, so I'm happy with the count. Next we have 3 Pot of Dualities. Duality is a great staple in this deck. First time I built it, I didn't have access to these because they were going for $130 a pop. Now, because they've been released in the super form, it's great. And because I don't rarely special summon in this deck, it doesn't really affect me. 3 of them really helps, and especially with the monster. Sometimes I may end up with more spells and traps than I do monsters, so it allows me to get to my monsters faster. Next we have 1 Rhoda, standard in any warrior-based deck. Allows me to search out any warrior, especially DD Warrior Lady if I need to get to it. Prisma, Stratos, whatever. So next we have 3 Mystical Space Typhoons. Typhoons are great, especially with the back row that everybody seems to want to run against this. Because this deck has such a low monster count, you want to try and preserve your monsters as much as possible, especially with Neos, so that really does come in handy. Next, we have 2 Smashing Grounds. This is actually a new addition to this version. It proves quite effective, especially when you're coming up against an opponent that likes to summon something higher than Neos. You can just knock it right off the field, which I'm very happy with. 1 Monster Reborn, standard staple. Target Neos, or if you need something else, honest back to your hand, you can always go that route too. 1 Heavy Storm, back row destruction again. Dark Hole for when you lose control of the field, reset it. 1 Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial does work. I usually use it when I get a Necroshade. The deck is at 41. It's just because of him. If I do pull it in the first draw, then I usually hit Necroshade immediately. Or something that I might need in the graveyard, or I'll hit Neos even because of some of the cards I have to support Neos. That's it for the magics. Now we're on to the traps. Now this is the newest addition to the deck because of the Photon Shockwave. I wasn't actually expecting it because I wasn't really looking at the Photon Shockwave, but these cards really support Neos to no end. Champion's Vigilance. I've been waiting for this card to come out for some time, and it works wonders with Neos. Because Neos is a level 7 and he's a normal, this card will back him to no end. It's basically a divine punishment as long as Neos is on the field. Negate summons and negate the activation of a spell or a trap card. Speed spell 3, so the only thing that can counter is another counter, which is awesome. I love it. Next we have 3 Threatening Roars. Stall out, if you need a preserve, maybe Kaiser Seahorse or something else for a turn. That way your opponent can't go at you. A great stall card all around. Next we have 2 Hero Blasts. Great combination with Prisma. Allows me to dump Neos to the graveyard, and then I can just set a Hero Blast when my opponent goes to summon a monster. Just activate this, get Neos back to my hand, and destroy their monster. So he really has no downside. If they have Stardust out, the destruction is optional, so I don't have to go that route. So very good. 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. I was at 2, but I changed it out for one of the Hero Blasts because the Hero Blasts were actually working better. Bottomless just, it's one of those cards that'll always be good no matter what it's at in the deck. But with all the mass destruction and the mass stalling in the deck, 1's really all I've found need for. Next, standard Mirror Force, self-explanatory, maintain control. Torrential Tribute, standard. If you lose everything, basically a Dark Hole when anything's summoned. And then Call the Haunted. Allows me to bring back anything in the graveyard that might be honest, stuff like that. You can go that route again if you need to back up Neos, whatever. So that's for the main deck. We'll go to the extra deck since it's only 2 cards. Necroid Shaman and Grand Neos. Basically just so I can reveal them to send for Prisma. That's all it's in. Necroid Shaman allows me to ditch Necroshade and Grand Neos. If I need to thin out the deck because I'm counting on drawing something, I can send Grand Mole, or I can just send the 2 Neos that are in the deck. But either way, they're both cards. They're just there for the reveal, not really any fusion summon. I mean, there was one duel I've used this deck before where I fusion summoned 4 Grand Neos just so I wouldn't have to attack with Grand Mole. But it was the last turn of the duel anyway, and I won. But anyway, that's my Neos deck. When I do take it to the tournament, actually, and I do test it, I will let you guys know. But thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and let us know what you think. Good night, YouTube.